Still waiting for a big smile out of you. You're up 2-0. What's the story? Are you not happy, or you're only half happy, or?
Still to be happy about.
You're up 2-0.
Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Bricks Blazing Takes. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you here with me. I appreciate that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. SimWorld, what's up? What it do? Rick Blaze, another episode coming at you live and direct from my space to yours. Let you know the ins and outs what's going on in SimWorld. Let's get right to it. It's Tuesday. It's popping up on the Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. I got a date this afternoon. We're going to get tacos. And then, if I'm lucky, never mind. All right, let's get right to it. So, time is winding down in SimWorld. Regular season is coming to a close. Most teams have about 6 games or less, 5 games or less. There's some games on tap today. And I'm just thinking about, what these playoffs, what these race to one games are going to look like. And I thought about the teams and the coaches and the players that's not going to be in the race to one, and what their offseason is going to look like and what they're going to be doing within that time frame. And it got me thinking about NBA. And it got me thinking about specifically those players, the great players, the great ones who's never won an NBA championship. And I'm thinking about the great players. A lot of great players come to mind. So I'm going to talk briefly about some of the great players. Whose I think were phenomenal talents that never won a championship. That if they had won a championship, we would probably be giving them way more praise. Their life and everything would be a whole lot different if they had won. Now, I'm only going to talk about the players that I personally seen play. So I'm not going to talk about, guys from the 70s and stuff. I wasn't born then. I have no idea. I haven't seen them play. So although their stats may be great, I haven't seen them play, so I'm not going to mention those guys. All right. So my top 3 players that I thought are phenomenal talents that never won a championship. Before I get started, Karl Malone is not on my list. I'm a Houston Rockets fan. I don't fool with Karl Malone like that. Really good talent, not taking that away, but as a Houston Rockets guy, and he's a Utah Jazz guy, I will not endorse Karl Malone. All right, get that out the way. Number 3, my guy Dominique Wilkins. Super duper talented. He's 6'8", 6'9" forward. Again, I'm going off my memory, so I don't have anything. I didn't Google none of this information as I'm saying it. I'm just saying it as it comes to me. Played for the Atlanta Hawks most of his career. Crazy bounce. Crazy. His combination of size and power was like none other. He was a small forward that would come into the lane and dunk on you like a big guy. He could shoot pretty good. Wasn't a dynamic shooter, but he was a really good scorer, right? And I think he might have a chance. He might have had a chance to get to the finals had it not been for Michael Jordan's Bulls and Larry Bird Celtics. They really just, it was either that team or one of the other team would always hold his team back. He needed probably a little more help around him. His best team was with your Kevin Willis's, your Doc Rivers, your Spud Webbs, and people like that. Your young, it's a young Kevin Willis, yeah. But he's number 3 on the list for me. Crazy talent, had great matchups in the playoffs against Jordan, great matchups in the playoffs against Bird. Those were just better teams. And a lot of people forget about Dominique Wilkins. They call him human highlight field. But if you saw Dominique play, if you go back and check his highlights, Dominique was one of a kind, and he was phenomenal. So he's at number 3. Number 2, a guy that I really, 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 really liked, and that's Charles Barkley. I love Charles Barkley. A lot of people know him now. Youngsters know him now as the fat old guy on Inside the NBA. But if you grew up watching Charles Barkley, he was a baller, man. He says a lot of jokes. He talks a lot of trash. But he was a bona fide baller. 6'5" guy that played a lot bigger than his size. well over 200 pounds, but he was like a train coming down the track. I mean, he could he would get the rebound, dribble it all the way down court himself, and then dunk that mug in front of everybody. Like he had a shot. I mean, he was just the complete baller. Offensively, he was just one of those guys that was kind of too small for his size. I mean, for his position, but too big for other guys. That tweener player, the tweener player that's undersized but really big and really strong, and that was Charles Barkley, who had a fantastic game. Popular person. He has an enormous personality. He even had his own Nike shoe. Pretty good shoes, by the way. He came out with a few different Barkleys, and all of them slap. I ain't gonna lie, all the Barkleys slap. I had one pair of the Barkleys. Barkley slap for sure. So he comes in at number 3. Lost to Jordan in the finals. Had a monstrous game, like 30-point game with 20 rebounds. I mean, just a baller. Like, let's show Charles Barkley some respect as a bona fide baller. And my number 1 guy of best player I've ever seen play that never won a championship. Had it not been for injuries, whether he would have won a championship or not, I think he would have been way more heralded than what he is right now. But the injuries slowed his career down. This guy is one of the basketball gods to me. I don't talk about him enough, to be honest with you. But as I think back as a kid growing up, I was always a Rocket homer because where I'm from. But this individual guy, before Kobe came and was Kobe, this individual guy to me I thought was the next thing after Jordan. The NBA was set to pass him the torch. He was supposed to be right after Jordan. I mean, this guy had his own shoes. This guy would be on late night talk shows. He was the perfect personality. He was the only reason why I fooled with Duke. And I'm talking about Grant Hill. Grant Hill was a beast. Grant Hill offensively was a savant. He was poetry in motion. He was Scottie Pippen on steroids offensively. He was probably LeBron James before LeBron James. He wasn't a dunker like LeBron James, but he could do everything on the basketball court. Pass it, shoot it, dribble it. He had a nice crossover. He can get to the basket whenever he wanted. The NBA was set to pass down Grant Hill as the next big thing. As a matter of fact, my favorite all-time Jordan shoe is the Jordan number 11. One of the highest selling shoes, that's the patent leather Jordan. One of the highest selling shoes in Jordan history. There was a shoe that rivaled that, and it was by Fila. Yes, by Fila. It was a Grant Hill shoe. They had a patent leather on theirs too. At the time, what a time to be alive. When you couldn't get the Jordan 11, and it was hard to get even then, the Fila was the next shoe, and that became hard to get because people start buying those out. Nobody rocks with Filas before. No one's rocked with Fila since, but they rocked with Fila when Grant Hill had them. Fila, they wasn't dominant, but they was relevant when Grant Hill was wearing them. That's how great of a player he was. His image was great. He played the piano. I played the piano growing up, so he may even playing the piano been really cool. Grant Hill was that guy. Grant Hill's supposed to be the guy. He's my number 1 guy, and if I think about it more harder, I should put more respect and reverence on Grant Hill. 6'8". My man was a walking triple-double any night of the week. Please, youngsters, if you haven't watched Grant Hill, go watch that tape. Watch the highlights. I'm telling you, Grant Hill is the man. It will probably be a top 10 player all time, maybe even top 5 all time, if not for the injuries. So tell me in the Discord, who's your favorite player that you saw play, the best player you saw play, not to win championships? Is it those 3? Do we have your others? Put in the Discord. Let's chat about it. See y'all tomorrow.